Hello and welcome to Sasha and Goff, live recorded.
I'm Sasha.
And I'm Goff, and this is episode number 50. And this week we are talking about our top and bottom books.
Yeah, book nerds.
You know what? I'm actually excited about. Not excited. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be great. But this one wasn't. When we polled it last week, I was like, this is kind of lame. But I actually had some. A lot of Stephen King.
Okay, I was going to say, how many books have you read in the past 10 years?
In the last 10 years? 20, probably.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, I have read. I know I joke about not reading, but
I would bet you that is more than most people.
Probably.
I don't think most people read books.
Yeah.
Megan read 50 books last year.
Yeah, Joni reads a lot too. I don't have the imagination, I guess. That's why I like reading the book and then going to
straight
watch
up text.
A movie.
You don't have to have it just tells you what's happening.
Oh, I know, but I mean, to picture, actually, one of the things I'll talk about later on my list, there was a movie that came out right before I started reading the book, so it was kind of like, I can put faces with the characters at least.
See, I
so
kind of
cool.
That's it's like pretentious anytime you talk about books. You're like, whoa,
yeah.
Or at least you feel that way. But or I feel that way, I should say. But when I read a book and then watch the movie, which I don't do, but I've never watched a movie and then read the book.
Okay.
But I have read books and thought about how I think of it,
yeah.
What it looks like and all that kind of stuff. And then if I know what the movie looks like, I'm like, oh, that's nothing like what I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
So I get the imagination part now.
Okay.
I called you out on it.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Jerk.
Episode 50 is about personal growth. And by the way, a lot of the books that I've read in the past 10 years were like self-help,
pamphlets.
Just straight up 9/11 pamphlets.
I have some 9/11 talk later, actually.
Hell yeah, finally.
I know.
Episode 50 is jam-packed.
Hell yeah.
Love it.
So anyway, how has your week been?
My week's been good. I did something. I don't know if I told you about this. I think I told you about this.
Okay.
You should know because it's a new part of the show.
Top 4 or the ranking?
No.
Oh.
Another new part.
Okay.
We now have a phone number.
Oh yeah.
Did I tell you this?
Tell me this. Yes.
We have a phone number.
All right.
Okay. So here's the deal. You can call and leave a voicemail. You can text us. You can send us pictures of your or other people's peni.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do. You can send them to 727-266-6469.
One more time.
And if you're having trouble remembering that, you can just call 1-SASHA-666-469. How about it?
Nice.
That was the best that I could do.
What was that like? Did you get to pick the number?
The way it happens is they give you a bunch of numbers. So what I did was I spent what seemed like 4 hours, but was probably 10 minutes, going down the list and trying to be 1-800 Sasha and Goff, 1-842 well played, something that could work for the show.
Okay.
And after, like I said, what felt like 4 hours, but was probably 15 minutes, I settled on Sasha 666 for 69. I'm going to leave it up here or down here or somewhere. It's always going to be on the screen from here on out. So anytime anybody wants to leave any sort of voicemail, we're going to play it. We're always looking for stuff to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
The drunker you are, the better. And also, if you can figure out when we're recording, we might be able to live answer a phone call.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll just leave it at that for this week.
So just keep calling, and then one of these days we'll happen to be recording, and it's like, shit, we got to answer that.
We'll give you a hint. It's Sundays, and it's around 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Yes.
But it may not be every Sunday. So, good luck. Leave those voicemails if you feel like it. And if you do, it's our personal property, and we'll do what we feel. If we're going to steal your voice and use it for our own AI models, yeah. It's ours.
So this is different than the text number, right? That we have for
okay. Don't confuse people about it.
Yeah, okay.
We're gonna take that one off.
Well, every one of episode thing starts with send us a text.
I guess technically you could use that because that doesn't have a number. Yeah. That just is, it's a thing that you like click on your phone and it opens it up or something. But I don't know. The number you got to remember is 1 Sasha 666 469. What is it, Goff?
1 Sasha 666 469.
Yeah. 466. That's what you were going to go with?
Yeah. I don't know.
I know, it's not very good, but it's the best that we could do. Just like this podcast, episode 50.
Yeah, good stuff. So I went to Medina Country Club this week, man.
Okay, you've been hitting the links?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm getting ready. I'm practicing at Medina for the Billy Joe Travis thing.
Why are you giggling?
No, I was giggling because I think this is when I always try to do it, and I always get championship and classic mixed up, so I'm not gonna. But anyway, you ever been to Medina?
I've never been in, like, on the grounds of Medina, but I've driven around it a million times and almost, like, swerved off the road. Yeah,
same. I actually used to work across the street from there. But, yeah, actually, my work company, we had our end of the year company party at Medina.
Nice.
Yeah, wow is exactly what all of us said, too, when we saw the email. We're like, holy shit.
Yeah, Medina Country Club, for those who don't know, is a like very famous golf course where they do major championships and stuff like
Ryder
that.
Cup.
I used to live over there, and they did when they brought the Ryder Cup here. It was insane. Like planes are flying over with banners and just like people all over the place. Yeah.
So the funny thing though is that everyone was so focused on the dress, like the attire, because it's like, are we going to get kicked out if we're not wearing, So it's like, wear a collared shirt. I'm like, all right, I'll wear a polo. It's golf shorts. Okay, just shorts that don't have cargo pockets. And then it's like, the shoes. That's the interesting part.
Yeah.
So I ended up just wearing like gym shoes, not like ratty ones. I mean, some like Nike nicer ones. And it was just funny how many people are like, dude, they'll turn you away. And it's just like, no, they're not going to do that, And
not for a work function.
I feel like it's one of those things where they might contact the place later and be like, yeah, your employees are scumbags.
Yeah.
And it's funny, too, because as these things go on, you're always waiting for the first person to light up a cigarette because it's like no one's sure if they're allowed to.
Yeah.
And then one just does, and then the chain reaction starts. And, it was fun, but I mean, like, since I don't drink, it was starting to get quickly like, this is just getting a little obnoxious. And I carpooled with a guy that was having a few.
Okay.
And not like I was just like, oh man, we got to get home. It was more just like, dude, can we fucking go? And
what's the food situation like?
You know what? I didn't even have any. Even Joni gave me shit too. She's like, why didn't you eat?
Yeah.
And because me and the guy that I drove with, our plan was like, hey, we're going to go for 30 minutes and then we'll leave. And we were there for like 2 hours, which was fine.
Yeah.
And I felt bad at the end because I didn't want to be like, dude, let's get the hell out of here. But,
if you're having a good time, there's no reason why not to stay.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I was having a good time, but again, it was just like you're hanging out with work people.
Yeah.
So it's like, I get enough of this. And then,
do they have any glizzies?
What the hell does that mean?
So you don't know what a glizzy is?
I don't. I mean,
I'm also relatively new to this. We recently put a YouTube short on our YouTube channel.
Okay.
And it was the one about hot dogs and whether we put ketchup or not.
Yeah.
Well, I found out that glizzy is slang for a hot dog, right? So the kids. They call hot dogs glizzy. Glizzies, yeah. So I put, how do you like your glizzy as the headline.
Okay.
And it was our highest ever.
Yeah, that one's doing well, man.
Yeah.
I think I actually saw
Most
that
popular.
caption and I had no idea what the hell glizzy meant, so I think I just brushed right past it.
So then I told Megan, I was like, hey, how do you like your glizzies? And she, she's an old woman. She likes birds, like watching birds now. Like that's an old person thing. And she had no clue about it. And I was like, that's just because I'm cool with the kids. The kids like me. And then I saw a license plate that said glizzy on a Lexus, and I was like,
speaking of license plates, I saw, and this is going to sound just so like whatever, a license plate that just said Adidas yesterday.
Wow, nice.
Is that, like, that's impressive though, isn't it? Because you're the one person in that state that got what, it'd be like if you had the one that just said Nike.
Yeah.
But
it might be ADL.
No. I mean, like, I was right behind it. I was pretty impressed. I even had to tell Joni, it's like, there's the Adidas one.
All right.
There's that guy.
Adidas was, I believe, German. I believe during the interesting times of Germany. But I believe the guy who invented Adidas and his brother, they were the sons. The guy who invented it, Adi Dassler, Adidas.
Yeah.
I believe gave it to his kids, and then they fought about it, and so one of them started Puma. And so
is this true?
Yeah.
So the Puma and Adidas.
Look, the story is close to true. I'm not good at remembering details, but it is like the brothers of Adidas split, and one of them's Puma and one of them is Adidas. It could be Converse and Shaq Fu shoes or whatever. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's Adidas and Puma. We'll look it up and then talk amongst ourselves in private about it and not bring it up on the podcast. So anyway, how do you like your glizzy?
Oh, well, are we going back to this?
No.
You know what, though? Speaking of that, we never talked about it, but we actually got some pretty good reactions to that on the Instagram, I remember. Most people in favor of, like, yeah, do whatever the hell you want. I think my mom...
That's surprising, right?
Yeah, it was. I think my mom was the only one that, like, had a problem with that. But I guarantee you, if she would have answered after all those people, she would have said the same thing as them. Mom, I love you. But, yeah, everyone else is just like, yeah, fucking eat whatever you want, dude.
That's surprising because the world is not friendly.
No.
You know what I mean? So everybody's normally like, you piece of shit, you
Dude, maybe we opened up this conversation for people and made it more accepting.
We're bringing back 90s alternative and acceptance in the world. You're welcome, everybody.
For your glizzy.
Yeah.
Speaking of big-ass Illinois monumental places, I was also at Willow Creek Church this past week for a work thing. Again, you ever been there?
That's weird, too.
Yeah.
No, because I'm not in a cult or whatever.
See, that's so funny because, so it was, like I said, it was a work thing. I had to go there to help out. And when I asked the other guy, he's like, hey, can you work? And it's like, well, where's it at? He's like, trying to remember. He's like, that one place that everyone says is a cult. Mm-hmm. And I just immediately, I'm like, Willow Creek. Yep.
Yeah, and by the way, that was a total joke. Great church.
Yes, please don't come after us, the Church of Willow Creekology.
If I disappear, it's because I went to Willow Creek Church on my own accord and did not come out.
Yes. So their auditorium...
This is a work event that's taking you to a church that some people have called cultish.
Yes. We all made it out, though, as far as I know.
And why were you there?
Stragglers.
What were you there
for? Well, it was a graduation for the school I work for.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so it was just an event I was...
Also
just kind of
weird.
Yeah. Well, their auditorium holds almost 7,000 people.
All right.
Their church auditorium holds 7,000 people. So
yeah, nothing shady about
it. Is just weird because I think that church is like bigger than Woodfield Mall. Like that's probably an exaggeration, but like probably bigger than like Stratford though.
Well, yeah, because they tore it down.
Yeah, well played.
But I'll say this: you know who goes to Willow Creek Church, and I'm not saying everybody who goes there is this person. But I know a lot of these people who have been shady their entire life, and all of a sudden they're religious, and they're like, Willow Creek turned me around.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know, all about Jesus and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, but you're still selling crack to children, like on the side. I know this. Yeah. It's on your Facebook page. I've seen you do it.
Wow.
I'm not even pointing at one particular person. This is
tell us
many
all
occasions.
These people you're talking
I'm just
about
saying I know a lot of shady people who turned their life around at this place or whatever, and I don't believe that they did. You know, religious people, right? Who are you're like you're not religious, but they act religious. Okay, maybe you don't, or maybe.
Oh no! Of course, I just Hey, listen, man. We can talk about religion all day.
I love religion.
I just wanted to talk about this
glizzy.
Basically, just like how amazing this building is, even though it's like it's still weird that it's a church.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you've never been in here. Because I went for a wedding many years ago.
Just like Medina, I've driven by and I've seen it, but I've never gone in. Yeah. They don't allow me. Just like Medina.
Cool. Good stuff.
So it was cool though. It was a like crazy looking building.
Or
was it sterile and new?
No, I mean it looks pretty fucking incredible for how old it is. I mean the place is but no, I wasn't sure if you've ever been in there, and
I'm judging it based off of no facts.
Yeah.
So
No, the architecture. This is such a dumb conversation.
I disagree. This is a solid conversation.
No, we don't need to talk about architecture of this church anymore.
I don't know. I know one guy who loves architecture of church.
Yeah.
Our dear friend Giuseppe in Milan. His Instagram posts, all churches.
All churches.
Yeah.
Except when he was in Maldives. Or was that where it was?
Yeah.
The Maldives, is that what it was called?
Yeah, do you know where it is? I know, I can point to it on the map.
Now I can, I think.
Thanks
to you.
Episode 50. We're doing it.
I have, I talked about my orchid a couple weeks ago. Remember this guy? My orchid I'm trying to keep alive?
Yeah.
I need names. We need to come up with a cool name for it.
Orchid. Okay. The orchid
Mike,
man.
I'm sorry, Alfred Melmac texted me the other day because he got a plant for his desk, and he's like, I named it Keanu Leaves. Which was fantastic.
Solid, yeah.
So then I immediately had to come up with a name, and the only one I could come up with on the spot was Morkid Mindy.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So,
off the top of my head, Morkid Mindy.
That one sucks. That's a terrible one. It's
pretty good. Well played. Well played. No, I like that. I like the thought of naming it. Plants are alive.
Inanimate. Yeah, I mean, I was going to say inanimate objects, which they kind of are because they don't move, but...
No, but I've read some stuff that like plants like make a screaming noise, like if you tear a leaf or something like that.
I heard lobsters do that too when you throw them in
the
hot
boiling water. Yeah, that's messed up.
Joni talks to our plants.
That's good. I like that.
She's usually out of her mind.
Is she like a hippie? She's a little bit of a hippie-ish?
She's getting more so, yeah.
Solid. I have 3 baby bunnies in my backyard.
We have like 6.
I abuse my dog because my dog wants to go eat them.
Yeah.
So I make the dog stay inside while I go out and shoo the bunnies away. But they don't want to leave because they're like, hey, this guy's friendly.
Oh, dude. Well, yeah, they're like neighborhood bunnies now. So I'll be cutting the grass and there's one like 10 feet away from me, just kind of like, you almost done.
Yeah, man. Nature and like animals. Yeah. And I was telling you, Megan likes birds now. Never been a bird person.
Yeah.
I became a bird watcher like 3 years ago, and I was like, I don't know, it's an age thing.
I think everyone did during COVID as well.
You get older, you get COVID, you watch birds.
Yes, that's why.
That's in that order. And so now Megan's like, you know what? Birds are pretty cool. And I was like, I know, you're getting to be that age. She's a little younger than me. She's catching up. There it is.
Good stuff.
Now, you were going to talk about 9/11. Are we still... That's later still?
Yeah.
Okay, good, because I got a couple things to talk about. Okay. You brought it up. The Billy Joe Travis Memorial Crockett Cup Tag Team Golf Invitational Championship 5 is coming up on Saturday, June 28th. The day after that, my wife's in a pie eating contest. If anybody
Can
wants
we all
to
go to that too?
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah.
However,
if the golf thing gets rained out,
she does not want anybody to compete against her.
Okay.
But if we go cheer her on, that would be funny.
I'm not hardcore enough to do that.
But anyway, if you want to golf with us, just reach out to either one of us or text us, send us a picture of somebody's penis.
Yes. On
7272 that's Sasha 666-469.
Yes.
And let us know. And I'm looking at you, the Bear, our newest listener, the Bear. You know the Bear?
I've met him.
Okay,
before.
The Bear. If you want to
long time ago,
come on out, Bear. We need your golfing prowess.
Even if you want to leave us a voicemail with this new number, just saying,
"Oh yeah,
no."
Yeah, that works
okay.
too.
That's all right.
But
we know you're not coming.
I do want to say we're less than a month away, and if anybody wants, like, it's still open. It's wide open, and we just have fun. It's not about winning and that stuff. So.
Come for the golf, stay for Sasha's world-famous prizes.
There it is.
Yeah.
This year, not very creative. Sorry ahead of time, but we're going to have some fun.
Retract what I just said.
We're going to have some fun. So that happened, and the Knicks have been eliminated. Last night was Game 6. They were eliminated. I don't like when women, here we go, talk about sports. What about you? Now, let me say this. Women should not like when men talk about sports either, because we're little bitches, or at least I am.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I feel Megan was watching the game with me, and I can feel her becoming less attractive to me as I complain about referees for 20 minutes. Women talk about sports all you want. I was just kidding about that, but I just I know I'm just trying to backtrack at this point.
Jeez.
Anyway, the Knicks are out, so that sucks. Watching the NBA is frustrating. Referees suck and ruin all sports. That's all I got on that end. And then, anything else before I do a Rankum, this week's Rankum? You got some stuff or what? I took over here.
No, you're good.
You sure?
You're good. I just wanted to talk about going to Medina.
Wow.
That's all I had.
We spent 20 minutes and we mentioned Medina once.
Yep.
Excellent.
See?
All
when
right.
I run the show, it's efficient.
This week's Rankum. What do you think I'm going? Music, acting, ballet? I'm going thrash metal.
Okay, cool.
We're going to do the big four. Rank the big four of thrash metal. For those who don't know, that's Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, and Slayer. From least favorite to favorite. Do you need some time?
Yeah, give me a second.
All right, I will go first then. My number 4 is going to be Anthrax. You in or you out?
That would probably be my number 4. I'm not that familiar with them. I know Scott Ian.
Same. I've seen them.
Yeah.
I like them. They're all right. I just never got deep into Anthrax. Whatever. They're my number 4. Out of the other 3, it gets a little bit interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go number 3. We're going to lose listeners on this one. Slayer.
Okay.
And here's why. I don't know enough Slayer.
Yeah.
I know a lot of Slayer. I don't know as much Slayer as I do Megadeth and Metallica. Those were the 2 bands that kind of got me into metal.
Yeah.
Then I found Slayer, and I was like, Slayer's better than
Slayer's
this
next
band.
level.
Yeah. Which brings me to my number 2, which is Metallica.
Okay.
Now, Metallica could be number 1 based on they were the first metal band that I ever heard, probably. That was Enter Sandman was the first song I ever learned on my guitar. I saw them in 97 or whatever. Then they went downhill, according to a lot of people. But they probably have the most songs that I know out of all these bands. They have the most hits. They're obviously probably the biggest out of all these bands. So they're still important to me. I keep them ahead of Slayer for today, for the time being, until I am bullied by my friends for making this pick. But I keep them at my number 2 ahead of Slayer. I don't think they're better than Slayer, but I do think there's a lot more that I know about Metallica than I do Slayer. Which brings me to Megadeth. It's my number 1. Megadeth would have been my number 2, let's say 20 years ago. I don't even know that that's true. But like, Megadeth is like a fine wine. It continues to progress. Whereas Metallica, I'm like, I don't want to listen to Metallica ever. Megadeth, I'll still throw on Megadeth to this day. I listened to Megadeth this week, for sure. And so they're my number 1.
All right, so...
Your number 4 is Anthrax.
Number 4 is Anthrax. I think
Anthrax was on Married with Children, too. So
I remember that. Yeah, they were all put, like, on the couch jamming and good stuff. All right, I think I would go, probably Anthrax number 4, and then I think Megadeth 3. Probably Slayer 2, and then Metallica 1. Yeah.
Huh?
You know, Slayer and Megadeth... Like, Megadeth, I think I'm more familiar with just because of the radio stuff, but I was never really into them, even CD-wise.
Okay.
And Slayer, I think I got into, like, a couple. I do remember my dear friend Nick, many, many years ago, not your cousin, a different one. We were in Florida, and we were, like, house-sitting for his uncle. And he used to go to church, speaking of church.
Willow Creek.
It was like Sunday morning or whatever. So he came back, because I didn't go with him. He came from church, and it's like we got in the car to go do whatever. And Angel of Death was blasting in the car, and it's like, this is what you put on after church, huh?
You got to even it out. That's why.
This is our first list that is not the same.
Different, yeah.
And also, you know what? One more thing, because you were talking about how Megadeth ages like fine wine. Funny that you texted me this week about another band who doesn't, because even my brother texted me and said the new Rise Against song sucks.
Oh, my God.
And it was just funny. I just sent him a picture of your message, and it's like, yep, Sasha said the same thing.
Yeah, it was bad. I used to get, like, mad that bands suck. Like, went from good, like Rise Against. I was like, why are you guys doing this to me? But then I'm like, these are... Now, I'm like, man, these are like artists who are creating music, and they have their own reasons to do whatever they want to do.
That's
like perfectly fine.
10th album,
I know.
It's like,
I don't like it, but kudos to them for continuing to put out music.
But no, that doesn't mean we can't say it's like, this sucks. I don't like it.
I am not a fan. They put out 3 songs that are supposed to be on the new album that comes out in like August or wherever, and 2 of the 3 I had the same feeling. I was like, I don't like this at all. And one of them, I was like, all right, this is a little bit
the one
better.
that's a little more upbeat that could be on literally any other Rise Against album.
And they do the same thing where they stop, everything stops, and then they all come in at the end. And
then it gets really fast. And
that was it. I think that's the new song. Yeah, so, I know that Slayer pick is going to be one that producer Tony is going to send me a message on that one. But it's just on, like, amount of work. Because there's a lot of Slayer to me that's, like, kind of the same. But I think if you can pick out songs, Slayer has the better songs than Metallica, like, an overall, like, a war ensemble, perhaps.
Yeah, great song.
But yeah, I know more Metallica means more to me a little bit. So
also, I think Rain and Blood was played at my wedding.
It was.
Yes.
It was, yeah.
And I have a hard time recalling if I was in there for that. I believe maybe for a second or two.
No, you
just
came
enough
in,
to have Joni screaming at me and everyone else to stop.
You came in and moshed. That's my recollection of it.
I vaguely remember.
It was towards the end of the evening. Everybody was going home.
Yeah,
and that's when it was allowed to happen. And then potentially you were brought in to
probably
mosh or whatever.
Bro, get your ass in here!
And we had a good time. So that's it for Rank 'em this week. Finally, a different one.
All right, man. Yeah. So I guess this week we'll talk about thumbs up, thumbs down. What are we putting inside ourselves? I'll start off. I got a few things here. I'll try to make this quickly, though. First, I don't think I've talked about this show on this podcast, at least, The Handmaid's Tale. I guess this is kind of a show that none of my friends watch. Actually, Show used to watch it. He kind of got me into it, and then he stopped watching because the subject matter is just too fucking depressing. This is essentially a show just about how men suck. And it's weird that I don't know, I guess I kind of agree with a lot of it too, because we're awful people. But so the only reason I'm bringing this up is because the show just wrapped up. It finished its 6th season.
Series finale?
Yeah, it was on Hulu with Elizabeth Moss, and I thought the final season was pretty good. Maybe unnecessary. I think it should have been wrapped up by now. But there was one, and I'm not going to spoil anything, not that anyone listening to this watches the show. There was one huge, huge plot thing that was introduced in the very first episode that was literally like the crux of the entire story. And then in the final episode, they just like...
ignored it?
They didn't like really ignore it, but they're just like, well, we didn't get... They show you other things. It's just a character that like you're thinking they're gonna get back. So I guess a little bit of a spoiler. Sorry, right. And it's like, spoiler, they don't. So yeah, it was. Like I talked to my sister, and it's like, what'd you think of the finale? And she's like, I fucking hated it. Wow. And it was mostly just because of that. Because like the rest of it was pretty good. I mean,
I've heard of the show. I've never.
I don't think I'd recommend it. Really, I don't think there's a lot of people I would be like, go watch this show because it's sad, it's depressing, and it's like I think I got hooked right away, but it was like. Yeah, I wouldn't want to. Harold and Kumar 1 and 2. Go to White Castle. Go to White Castle and then escape from Guantanamo Bay. Those were work movies. Pretty much whatever. Yeah, you can tell the movies I watched at work.
I don't know that I've ever watched either one completely, and I think is that a problem? Like, are they good movies? They're dumb.
When I watch them now, I'm still laughing, but it's like. A lot of the if you've grown out of like American Pie type humor, then definitely it's like you probably don't. But there's one of the things about this, there's so many racial jokes that are like funny, but you're like, fuck. Like it's still like it's mean, and obviously whoever wrote this, they're doing it on purpose. Mm-hmm. But you're still like, it's weird that someone like was like, hey, you know what would be funny? And then that's the joke they came up with. But, like, you got Neil Patrick Harris making cameos as himself, just playing, like, a coked-out, like, womanizer, which is so good. I mean, like, they're completely ridiculous movies with these guys, like, at one point riding, like, on the back of a cheetah, you know, shit like that. It's a stoner.
All of this makes me want to watch them.
No, I would say they're definitely enjoyable movies. There's a Christmas one as well. I haven't seen that.
It's like they tried to create a new Ernest, and it was Harold and Kumar. They're like, how about a Christmas one?
I think it's, Guantanamo Bay. What was the first one? White Castle. Music, Yellow Card. Were you ever into them?
Nah.
Okay,
Too much violin.
Yeah, actually, one of the new songs. So they have two new ones they've released. The new album comes out in October. Better Days is one of the songs. That's fine. It's more just like kind of a heavier, like upbeat. You know
what? I think I did hear one of the new songs recently. Like on my Spotify, it's like, you might want to hear this, and I'm like, where's the no button? But it was there, and so I listened to it, and I was like, the violin is overbearing to me. That was my problem always with it, and it kind of still is, even though it's not always there. It's just like, I don't know. I always had a weird
It's in most of it, because I mean, I think like Yellow Card's another band that broke up like 10 years ago. And these bands just can't seem to stop.
Well, there's money. There's money.
Oh, absolutely.
Involved,
so good for them. Yeah. But and then the other song, Honestly,
That's why Aggro Willie's coming back. 2026.
And the Fuzzheads. Dave, can you make that happen?
I'm coming back with AI as all the instruments.
AI Aggro Willie.
I'm just gonna manage an AI Aggro Willie.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then my last thing, not egg rolls, but it is a food. Jewel tortilla chips, like the from their, I don't know, the hand.
I can picture them.
I was gonna say handmade, homemade, whatever. Jewel brand. They're just fantastic.
What is it with you and handmade chips?
I don't know.
It's a weird thing.
Actually, I was gonna type it out. I forgot. Al from Melmac actually emailed me personally. Otherwise, it would have just went to you and you could have read it. But it was about my picks for last week, and he's like, he was giving me shit, but along those lines, it was like deep fried potato chips. He's like, that's great. It's like boiled pasta. He gave me like a couple other ones, and it's like, no, that's just what a chip is. It's a deep fried potato.
I went back and I listened to your picks, and I was like, this is the worst top 3 you've ever given.
Yeah, it was a bad one because I don't know. Maybe I don't go to Carnival Foods.
I think we need to go to a Carnival.
I don't go to Carnival Foods.
We need to go on a Carnival cruise line and get some glizzies.
I wonder if they have carnivals on Carnival cruise lines.
All right. Are you done?
I'm done.
All right.
What do you got?
I went to see Friendship in the movie theaters. I texted you from the movie theaters.
Oh, yeah.
And I went to see the movie Friendship with Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And Tim Robinson is funny and weird. And Paul Rudd is almost the same character as he was in Anchorman. In this, he plays, like a little bit, I should say. He plays a weatherman who's like going from the night shift to the day shift. And these two guys meet and become friends and then not friends. And it is a weird movie. It is. Are you familiar with Tim Robinson?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't really watch the yeah.
Have you seen his show on Netflix? I Think You Should Leave.
No. Well, I've just I ask you all the time, and I'm sorry. What show is that skit from? The one with the zip line, where he's in the pool.
The zip line.
It's like one of the funniest skits ever. It's like he's on a reality dating show, and the woman's just like, all right, she's basically like, when they say who has to leave this week.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's Tim, and she's like, the whole time you've been here, you've just been on the zip line, and it just keeps showing him. Like,
I think that might be the second season. I Think You Should Leave.
Okay. Is it sketch comedy?
Yeah, it's his sketches. So like he was on SNL, and then he was always like, I feel like his sketches made it to the last sketch of the evening, which is always the weird one that they like mess around with and do just like out of here comedy.
On SNL.
Yeah, right. Like the last skit is always something weird that they're just like test trying, and if it doesn't make it to air, like if they run out of time, they're like, yeah, cut that one.
Okay.
I feel like that's his type of humor is perfect for that spot in SNL. It's just weird. It's his own thing. He's goofy. He's funny. The movie opens up in a like therapy session, and his wife is talking, and then she's kind of being serious, and it zooms out just on his face. You start laughing because it's like him. He's such a like goofy looking dude. And then immediately the first things that he says. This movie was very funny. There was a lot of funny parts, but it also was like dark, mysterious, weird.
Why did you guys go see this one? I know you like Tim Robinson.
I like Tim Robinson. I like Paul Rudd.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've heard good things about this movie. I wouldn't call it a bad movie. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it before. And a lot of his type of humor is in it.
Okay.
Which makes sense because it's him. But you got to watch I Think You Should Leave, especially season 1.
Okay.
Like, it is a must watch. Like, It is very funny, and then you'll understand who Tim Robinson is. Yeah.
All right, I got it. I did it quickly back to what we just right before the show. I mentioned Tires, how I was watching that, and it's like it's a really funny show. But the more and more I watch it, it's just like Shane Gillis's character is like sometimes you're just like, God, this guy fucking sucks. Like it's like not even funny at times, just how obnoxious he is, and it's like no one acts like that at their workplace. Like I
agree with you.
I guess people do, but it's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's hilarious,
and I like
but it's
him
still
too.
Sometimes you're just like, God, shut up. Sorry.
He's good at that character.
Yeah,
too.
he is.
Like,
he really is.
I don't know if that's him.
They wrote a character like based on his stand-up.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, just friendship.
Yep.
All right, so then I guess we're going to talk about our top, and do you have a bottom 3 for books?
No, just top 3.
Ooh, well, I got some bottom 3s, man. This just shows that I am way more cultured than you. I'm going to start off.
Do it.
Okay?
See if I care.
All right. So, again, I have a lot of similar authors here for one. So it's like all the books I've said I've read, it's pretty much been like sequels and whatnot. But my number 3 for top books is Ready Player One.
Okay.
Yeah, based on the movie. We've talked about it. I know you like it. I love the movie.
I like the movie a lot, yeah.
And this is a rare situation where I actually think the movie is better than the book. Because the book is, while it's, like, if you're of our age, I mean, like, I'm way more into, like, pop culture from the 80s and stuff like that as we grew up. The book and the movie are just listening to them, you're smiling the whole time. Just all the references and everything like that. And one thing about the book, though, is they make the characters a little bit more annoying and maybe, like, not as... Well, like in the movie, you know, it's just like you've got Wade and then you've got Artemis, and it's like, man, they're really good looking. In the books, it's like he's like fatter and he's bald and he's like a lazy piece of shit and he stalks her, and so it's like, but I mean, I'm not making the book sound terrible, but it's an awesome book. And then
it's just different. It's
definitely different. Yeah. And I think Steven Spielberg did an awesome job. Like if you read that book and it's like, holy shit, to squeeze all of that into 2.5 hours like they did. I mean, the challenges and stuff are different for the most part.
How big is this book? It's long?
It's about 700 pages, something like that. Yeah, it's a pretty good one.
My eye just twitched.
Yeah. Well, I got the other ones coming up. Yeah, it's a couple of the Stephen King ones. So, all right, that's my number 3.
I love that movie. It's one of those things where if it's like 10 p.m. and I'm by myself downstairs, Megan went to sleep, and I'm scrolling, and that comes on, I'm like, we'll leave this on. Like I can watch it from any point in the movie.
The car scene in the beginning, the race, is one of the fucking coolest things ever.
Yeah, and that's CGI, obviously. And I'm for it. Isn't that crazy?
Well, when you see something like that looks that good, and it's just like...
And also, like, the movie's supposed to be futuristic and all that kind of stuff, so it kind of fits in with all that stuff or whatever. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe CGI sucks. Maybe. You ever think about that?
Maybe there is no CGI. They just really did that.
My number 3 is the creative arc. What's this called? The Creative Act: A Way of Being, by Rick Rubin. Look at this.
Look at you.
Look at this. Got it right.
Looks like it hasn't been read yet.
Oh, it's been read. You can see my hairs that fall into it and whatever.
Okay.
Solid book. I like Rick Rubin. I like hearing him talk. He's, you know who Rick Rubin is, correct?
Like the music producer?
Yeah. Produced Slayer and Beastie Boys and all kinds of bands and all kinds of everything. He's a huge wrestling fan as well. When I didn't start reading like until like 3 years ago. Seriously. Like I didn't read for 40 years of my life or whatever. I never read the stuff you're supposed to read in high school, which is why I'm like still reading Huck Finn and stuff now. But when I started reading, I was like, it was more about creativity and like art and all that kind of stuff. This is one that actually came out recently. I've read a bunch of books on creativity and art. There's actually another one that's on my list in my top 3. But this one's cool. It's like little blurbs and stuff like that. So it's not an entire book that you have to read. It's like short chapters.
Okay.
You see there's a lot of blank pages on there. But it's just a lot of stuff that I've come to, I don't want to say agree with, that like helped me kind of realize how I see artistic endeavors. Does that make sense? Yeah. So like, for example, Billy Corgan, I've heard him talk. Many musicians, I've heard them say this, but Billy Corgan recently, I heard him say this, and I was like, yeah, I get it now, like why people say this. About writing songs. People don't write songs. The creative people like Rick Rubin and whatever, spiritual people, whatever, they kind of think the song is like out there,
okay,
and you just kind of like fall into it. Because you can't just, it's not you going, this is my thing, that it is just and I know it's like a hippy dippy thing, but the more I play guitar, the more I write music, the more I do anything that's creative, even now like we're trying to write a little show, all that kind of stuff, it's like I don't feel like I'm coming up with the ideas. I feel like the ideas are just, they come across and you like grab at it. Like, I don't know if it makes sense. I know it sounds like a hippie thing, but it makes a lot more sense now than it ever did before. When I was 20, I was like, that's stupid. I'm writing the song. You're like, oh, but anyway, I'm not going to go deeper into it, but that's my number 3.
All right, my number 2. It's a Stephen King book, and it's not a horror book, actually. It's called 11/22/63. This is about, so do you know what that date is? 11/22/63. That's when JFK was shot,
Who's
assassinated.
JFK?
John. It's John JFK, right? Yeah, that's his name. Anyway, so the book is about a guy, a teacher. So it starts off in modern time now. And a man basically finds like a rabbit hole / portal, whatever, that takes you back in time to like 3 years before this date, or maybe like 5 years, something like that. And every time you go through this whole, like you go through and you'll start at the same time, but it's like if you come back out and then go back in, everything resets. So it keeps doing that. And so,
did you say this is Stephen King?
Yeah. Wow. So that's what it's a sci-fi book. It's awesome. So this guy in the wormhole is in a guy's restaurant. It's in his diner. So he finds it, and it's just crazy because like in the beginning, there's a scene, the guy, he walks away for like 5 minutes, and then he comes back and he's got cancer and he's aged like 10 years and everything. And the thing is, when you go down into this like portal or whatever, you can spend 5 years down there. It's only a minute's worth of time out here. So in the guy, the restaurant owner or whatever, he's like, hey, I'll be right back. He was just down there for 10 years doing whatever, but the other guy's just like, so when he comes up, he's like, what the fuck happened to you? Like I said, he's got cancer and he's dying and he's 10 years older, and the guy's just like, you were gone for 30 seconds, you know? So, but basically the guy who found the portal, he kind of recruits this other dude to go back, and now the mission is to save JFK from being shot.
Because is this a movie as well?
It's a TV show, actually. It's on
show.
Hulu.
Okay.
James Franco, your favorite. He played... Yeah, I know. You don't like James Franco. That's why I've said that. I thought you said you didn't want to watch Pineapple Express because he was in it.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I support what he does outside of acting.
Okay. Right. No, he's good in the role, but I don't know if he's the actor, because I did read the book before I watched the miniseries, and I do think the book is way better. The miniseries is good, though, and it's one of those things where I like that they made a series out of it instead of trying to make a 2.5-hour movie. This one, said probably about 600 pages. Another pretty long one. But
sounds interesting. It reminds me of that one space movie, Interstellar.
Yeah.
Where like the time that they're gone is like,
dude, you could tell, like, what I really like about this book too is that Stephen King did a ton of research, like just for the times, and then also just because, and that's one of the funny things about Avengers Endgame, which I know you didn't watch, but it's like they're talking about time travel and that, and they start talking about all the comedies. Back to the Future, Hot Tub Time Machine, all this stuff, and it's like they all kind of tell you the same thing about time travel, but when you think about it, it doesn't really make any sense. Like I don't know, it's funny, but
you like time travel stuff?
Some.
Okay. What about you like space?
Yeah, I guess. I like a lot of sci-fi stuff, so a lot of
that's
sci-fi.
all I wanted to know.
But anyway, yeah, 11/22/63, really good sci-fi book. There's a couple, like, I think there's like a couple like bloody like scenes in it, like fights or whatever, but it's not, there's no monsters or anything.
I've never heard of it, but it's intrigues me. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, like I said, there is a miniseries on Hulu. You could probably watch it on like Amazon, but it was a Hulu original, so you could get it for free there. But yeah, great book. It's actually kind of recent too. I'd say within the last like 10 years.
Wow, I didn't know Stephen King still.
Oh, he's still going. Yeah.
My number 2. So my first one was the Rick Rubin creative book, which is a lot more like I don't want to say spiritual based, because that might turn people off of it, but like he's definitely a spiritual person and how he sees sort of things. And my number 2 book is called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield.
Look at you.
This is
props.
This is straight up. I heard of this on Joe Rogan, right? So I'm like, okay, this is gonna be good.
Okay.
Because Joe Rogan does not lead us astray. But this is actually a really, really good book. But it's another creativity type thing.
I like the play on words too.
Yeah, but instead of the art of war, it's the war of art. But it's way more about overcoming resistance in creative endeavors rather than like the spiritual aspect. There is some like spiritual stuff. I think there is with all creativity stuff. Mm-hmm. But like this is way more about like what is holding people back. And as you start reading it, it'll kind of like remind, like something will hit with you. You're like, yep, that's me putting it to the side because of this reason or whatever. And it kind of addresses all reasons why people don't do artistic endeavors, whether they're embarrassed of their stuff, they don't think they're good enough, whatever it is. And so most of it is about how to overcome resistance. That's like the number one word. I think that's the word he uses, is resistance in the thing. But yeah, strong. They're like, if you're a creative person or you like doing creative things, both of those books are good to get you in a good mental space.
Now, are these like rereadable though?
Oh, I read this one in a day. Okay. The War of Art. And once again, it's short. Yeah. And this is 150 pages. And once again, it's not chapters. It's blurbs. So it's easily digestible. And I reread them all the time.
Okay.
Every 6 months or so, I'll be like, oh, yeah, let me... And I won't even reread the whole thing. I'll just kind of open it up and go through some stuff. And you just kind of get like reminders of... Because it's hard to create stuff, man. It's like there's always like, I'm too tired. I don't feel like doing this. Whatever. If you don't like really work towards it, it's easy to put it to the side. So it's like I need stuff like this that gets me a little bit like motivated to do stuff.
Yeah, but like, have you ever? Because I know you do a lot of writing. Do you ever say to yourself, all right, I am doing nothing else for the next like 2 days except, or whatever, however much time, when you, or are you always just, there's a thought in my head, pull out your phone and just like put it in your notes just to keep it for later? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it
both.
always
it's
just,
both.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I think of stuff that I want to write jokes about all the time. So I have a thought. I put it in my notes. If you've seen the notes I've showed it to my friends, the notes, just the jokes thing, where I scroll like this for like 5 minutes, and it's just ideas of jokes, or a word that reminds me of what I'm trying to think, a couple words or whatever. And then I'll sit down and I'll go, okay, I'm going to do a half an hour of writing just on this one topic, or 15 minutes on this, or 20 minutes on, and I'm always trying to do like different amounts, because it's hard also to sit down, we're distracted by phones, we're distracted by pets, we're distracted by work, we're just like all those types of things. So it's just trying to fit it all in.
Well, because I was thinking like, like what we were talking about before. It's like, say I'm gonna work on this character right now.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you just think of a different idea of like a funny scene, and it's like you start writing for that now, and all of a sudden it's just like, shit, how do I just focus on just writing this,
Yeah, and there's like different I told you a stupid idea I had before we were recording this, Michael Tusack, and the jokes that go along with Michael Tusack. I think when you write stuff, you have to just like, everything needs to come out in, you don't edit anything, right? Just any idea, how stupid it is, just like write it down, and then when you go back to it eventually, like you should reread your stuff, and then that can take you on different things where you're like, I'm going to write just on this point or just on this point. A lot of people who write comedy, they say there's two different, like, it might be like left side and right side brain.
Yeah.
But like one side is the clown and one side is the editor. The clown does anything. Oh, like whatever. Get the stuff out there. Get the ideas. It doesn't have to make sense. It's just write everything. And then the editor is the one who goes through everything and is like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever read. Get this out of here. Yeah. So you have to like establish that, if you're writing to come up with new ideas, don't edit yourself ever. Don't be like, that's stupid, I'm not going to write that.
Yeah.
Write it all down.
Okay.
And then
that's good to know.
Yeah. Man, way too long on creativity.
That's all right. That's all right. Back to Stephen King, my number one, and it's funny you just mentioned clowns, and I feel like I've talked about this many times on this podcast.
It too?
Yeah, no, It chapter 2 is fine. But anyway,
I didn't even know there was one.
This book is, I think,
scary.
1,200 pages.
Frightening.
Yes. No, this one I really do enjoy, and I mean, there's a lot of fucked up stuff in this book. I mean, like just some things that they couldn't even like put in the movie now from like. Because they made a miniseries in the 80s. I think it was made in like 1989 with Tim Curry as Pennywise the Clown. And I loved it for its time. You watch it now and it's like, all right, this isn't very good. And then there's the new ones that came out more recently that were done really well. And the first one was really good, but then It Chapter 2 I thought kind of sucked. But we're not talking about the movies. The book, insanely long, a lot of funny stuff, scary as hell, like you said.
Yeah, I'm terrified of it.
This one, after, because I read this many, many years ago, so more recently I've just listened on Audible. It's a 44-hour listen.
Good God.
Yes. But the guy who narrates it, though, Steven Weber, who used to be on the show Wings, fantastic. I mean, like, he is so good, but it's weird, like, with Stephen King.
He's not Lowell, right?
Lowell.
From Wings?
No, I don't know. He's the good-looking guy with the kind of longer hair. I think he's the main character. I don't know what that guy.
That guy was in Sopranos.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, for like a few episodes.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I said, I talk about Pennywise and It, I feel, all the time on this podcast. Everyone knows what it is. It's an awesome book, so that's my number one.
I may have told you this story already on this podcast. I don't know if I did or not. But like when It came out, when I was younger.
Okay.
Then what year did it come out?
The miniseries or the book?
Maybe the miniseries.
Yeah, like
90s?
Either 89 or 90.
Okay, right around that time, where I lived, there was a forested area, and there's a balloon involved, right? So me and two of my buddies, who we all lived like a couple blocks away, we were walking through this forest because you're kids and you just walk around at that time.
I ate poison ivy so many times as a kid.
There was actually a house in the middle of this forest, but we never went towards the house. We just like stayed on the outskirts of the thing. Well, after we had seen this, I don't even think I saw the whole movie, but like I was terrified from whatever. We were all talking about it and everything.
Well, it was on ABC, so it's like everyone.
It was a big deal
at
the time, And we found a balloon in the forest, potentially a condom. Okay, but to us it was a balloon, and we did not touch it, I don't think. But anyway, so we found that and we freaked out. We're like, it is here. We're like 8 years old, 9, I don't know, 10, whatever it is. And so we were like freaking out, and we left the forest and we started walking down the street, and it was like dark out. Not dark, but like getting dark,
Dusk.
Dusk, good word. And as we were walking, we looked up into a house, and there was a lady. She had to be an older lady, looked like It, doing makeup and stuff in the thing. And now, whatever, we're kids, so we like freaked out about this It lady. And I have not seen those friends since then. That was that scarring of an incident.
Shit.
I mean, there's no ending to that story.
Any and all association with this incident.
Yeah, I moved out of town the next week. I was like,
I might be the next one you never see again.
That's true. Megan's here, so.
All right, what's your number
one?
Kick
you out. My number one is Slaughterhouse-5, Kurt Vonnegut. I've heard this name, Kurt Vonnegut, since I was, I don't know, a teenager or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it was always like, people were like, you got to read Vonnegut, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's totally like that vibe. It's like, you haven't read Vonnegut.
Yeah. Well, after you read it, you become that person. And you're like, dude, you haven't read Vonnegut. Wow. Like, it's so good.
It's like everyone that watched Breaking Bad.
You
haven't watched Breaking Bad?
Exactly. Yeah. Kurt Vonnegut's like humor is incredible. It's dark. It's witty. It's everything. And he's got a bunch of different books. I've read a couple of them. I haven't read everything. but I have never been disappointed by anything I've read. But this was the first one I read because this is like his classic or whatever, and it's almost like biographical.
I saw this at a garage sale actually yesterday.
It's almost like biographical because he was like in World War II or whatever, and this is about World War II. But then it breaks off into like space alien talk, and in the future aliens have humans in like a zoo. You know what I mean? Like how we have animals. Yeah. So it's like aliens have a human and they observe and they like pay entrance to go look at the human or whatever. And so there's a lot of like weird stuff. There's stuff in there about like multi-gendered. There's like 7 genders at the time, which you know, you start reading. You're like living now, and you're like all the gender talk that goes on and everything.
Wow.
And and you think this came out whatever 60 years ago or whatever, and the stuff that he was writing about. Then I went to his museum in Indianapolis. Because,
like you actually went?
Yeah.
You guys were there?
Okay. Yeah, I made Megan go. It was awesome. And I had just read like a couple of his books, and I was reading as much as I could before we were planning to go there because I knew the museum was there. Then they even had like people have murals on their buildings with him and stuff like that. Wow. So I believe he's from Indiana somewhere, if not Indianapolis. But yeah, just a really interesting guy who was like I believe a prisoner of war in World War II, and like eventually got out, and that's half of this book. And it's about, you know, like blacking out from stuff, and just like it's really, really, really good, and it's short, and it's awesome. And like I said, that looks like him, by the way, on the back.
Oh, I know, yeah, because he looks like Einstein, kind of.
A little bit, yeah.
I think I talked about it before, but again, just one of the funniest fucking parts in the movie, Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield. Because are you familiar with that one?
Only because you brought it up before.
Yeah, but he has to write a paper on Kurt Vonnegut.
Yeah.
And he's so rich, so he just has Kurt Vonnegut write the paper himself.
Yeah.
And the teacher's like, I don't know who the hell you paid to do this, but they don't know the first thing about Kurt Vonnegut.
But one of the cool things about the museum was one of the rooms in the museum is just his letters that people sent him that they did not buy his stuff. His what do they call those?
Like protesters, kind of? Or?
No. Just like he would send stuff to like Life magazine, and they were like, "No, we don't want to do this."
Okay.
Like,
okay.
All of his like
they turned him down.
Yeah.
As publishers.
Yeah.
Essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. Any magazine.
I thought you meant it was fans. Like,
no.
You're disgusting.
No, anything like all the failures, quote unquote, that he had are like, you know, the letters that he got back from these publishers or whatever, and it's just one room that you read like pages and pages and pages. That's also in the Stephen King book, by the way, On Writing, Stephen King, where he talks about his writing process, where like he was writing in his attic, and anytime he would get a rejection letter from one of these publishers, he would take it and put it on a nail, and then the nail would fill up, and like that's when he would finally like have success after all the rejection or whatever.
Nice.
A lot of creativity on this. No 9/11. Creativity.
I was thinking about that. Don't worry, we'll get to 9/11 next week.
All right, that's a tease.
You got any poet notables?
Yeah, I got 2. One of them is called Tonight, Tonight, Tonight. It is a Burt Prentice autobiography. Burt Prentice is a famous wrestling promoter.
Okay.
Me and a lot of my friends watch Music City Wrestling.
You guys used to talk about him all the time on...
okay.
Bitter Marks.
Yes.
That's why it's like I've heard that name.
This book is awesome, and they interview him a little bit. He passed away, I think, while they were finishing this book up or something like that. So the end of it, they just released like the conversation instead of trying to gather more information out of it. But it talks about his whole life and like where he started, where he came up from. He was a concert promoter and all this stuff, and just being a fan of Music City Wrestling, which is what I knew him from, and then later on, like one of our friends worked for him and stuff like that, and he's a very important wrestling figure, just in like the history of pro wrestling and stuff like that. It was a really good book. And then my dear friend Ivica sent me. He said you should read Cormac McCarthy. It's his favorite author. He said read The Road. And they actually made a movie called The Road with Benicio del Toro, maybe?
No. It was Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah, I always confuse the two of them.
It's like a post-apocalyptic.
Yeah. Love it.
I haven't seen it, actually. Like, I wanted to, I just never did.
I didn't see the movie, but I read the book, and it was really, really, really good book. It's like him and his kid.
His kid, right?
Yeah. and like it's scary. It's like people going through, they're trying to find food.
It's like cannibals and shit.
Yeah, and it's just it's a very, very good book, and Cormac McCarthy also wrote No Country for Old Men.
Yep, that's a good one.
And a bunch of other books that Ivica will tell me about.
Probably like Eastern Promises and and what's the other one? No, actually it was
Pretty Woman.
A History of Violence is one I was thinking of.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I got a couple potent notables. The Hunger Games trilogy, the original ones. I just love those. The movies too. I'm a big fan of Salem's Lot and also Christine, both Stephen King books. Salem's Lot is a vampire book, and then Christine is about a killer car. So.
Oh, Cujo is the one I'm thinking of.
Cujo's the dog.
One, yeah.
Carrie is about the high school girl. Christine is about the car. And then quickly, I do have a bottom three. Number 3 is World War Z, which I love the movie. Are you familiar with this at all? So World War Z was the movie. It was a Brad Pitt zombie movie, and it's a really cool idea. And I shouldn't all these. I was just kind of like, I'm gonna make a bottom 3 because I can bitch about these, but they're not like terrible books. But this one is in my list because it just gets so fucking repetitive, and it's like, so the whole book is like people accounting their stories from the Great Zombie War. So this actually, like, the book is taking place after we've already, like, won. So it's kind of cool, but, like, all the accounts, it just gets very redundant by the end. But the movie I thought was really cool. The Stand, another Stephen King book. Another 46-hour listen to, whatever, on Audible, and, like...
And it's not good?
1,400 pages. Good enough book, but the ending just makes all of it pointless.
Oh, okay.
So it's got a terrible and then like the book is advertised as the ultimate battle between good and evil. None of that fucking happens in the movie. I'm expecting like this huge war. Nothing happens. And then Ready Player 2.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
Dude, they just took all the beats from the first one and just amplified it by 1,000, and it was just like, there are so many lists. And then actually for a potent notable, I put Armada. That's another one that's written by the same guy who wrote Ready Player 1 and 2, Ernest Cline. This guy, like I said, you read Ready Player 1, all right, I loved it. Then every other book he has is the same thing. It's sci-fi where all he does is name drops, Easter eggs, and you're just like, literally, it'll be in a minute and a half of him listing off every game from the 1980s that was
That's annoying.
And so it's like, you know what? Even in Ready Player 1, there's times where you're like, dude, all right, we get it. But then, Ready Player 2, which I think the movie will be coming out, because I think the first one, if Spielberg does it, I'll definitely see it.
Yeah.
I don't care. But the book was just too much of everything from the first one, and then just like...
Now, before we recorded, you were bashing the Bible. I'm surprised that's not in your... bottom 3. The Willow Creek people were pretty upset with you.
I think you used the C word first.
Christ.
Cult.
Oh.
Ha!
Okay.
So we're going to drop the bucket for next week. As always, if you have any suggestions for our top 3, send them in. You can call us on a Sunday afternoon. We might answer. Or you can
Sasha,
text
666 469.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull out a couple here because I feel like we never get the one that I like. Ooh, that's kind of a good one. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, you know what? I like this one. It's simple. Top 3 talk show hosts.
Talk show host. Okay.
And we'll do bottom 3 as well.
Ooh.
Okay? Because that one I feel like we can definitely have a bottom 3.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Oh,
we broke everything. Anyway, call us and leave a message. We'll see you next week.
Later.